get through. It's a tough mental game when it comes to the type of golf course that we play in the US Opens. But yeah, it was.
I've seen him from afar, but he's in the zone. I haven't spoken to Tiger this week, unfortunately, but I'm sure he's still hurting from 19 years ago losing to me. But
At 56, Michael Campbell says he hates 5 golfers. Not the kind of hate you feel towards someone who cuts you off in traffic. This is different. This is the hate that fuels champions. Michael Campbell won the 2005 US Open by beating Tiger Woods at his absolute peak. That same year, Woods took home the Masters and the Open Championship. But Campbell, he came through sectional qualifying just to get into the tournament. Nobody expected him to win. Nobody expected him to survive. And nobody expected the fire he carried for 5 specific men who stood between him and glory. Tiger Woods dominated golf in 2005 like few athletes have ever dominated their sport. He entered Pinehurst number 2 for the US Open, already holding 2 major championships that season. The media treated the tournament like a coronation. Campbell was barely mentioned. He was the journeyman from New Zealand who scraped through qualifying. The entire golf world watched Tiger. Campbell watched the scoreboard. Campbell was the first player since Steve Jones in 1996 to win the US Open after coming through sectional qualifying. That alone should have been the story. A man who had to fight just to get into the tournament ends up winning it. But the narrative machine wanted Tiger. The cameras followed Tiger. The microphones chased Tiger. Campbell became a footnote in his own championship. On the final day, Campbell shot 69. Woods shot 69. They matched each other, stroke for stroke. But Campbell finished at even par for the tournament, while Woods finished 2 over. Those 2 strokes separated immortality from second place. The difference came on holes 16 and 17 when Woods made consecutive bogeys. Campbell applied pressure. Woods cracked. The 17th hole was the clincher. Campbell later said he knew he had the tournament sewn up at that moment. Woods, who rarely made mistakes under pressure, made 2 in a row. That was Campbell's doing. When they shook hands on the 18th green, the interaction looked respectful, graceful even. Woods congratulated Campbell. Steve Williams, Woods' caddy and a fellow New Zealander, hugged Campbell second after Campbell's own caddy. Williams told Campbell he made the whole country proud. Despite working for Woods, Williams could not hide his pride in seeing another New Zealander defeat the greatest player in the world. That moment revealed the complexity of the rivalry. Campbell had to destroy Woods to win, but in doing so, he gave his countrymen a moment of patriotic joy that transcended professional loyalty. But something happened after that victory. The media cycle refused to let Campbell own his moment. Every interview became about Tiger. Every question circled back to what went wrong for Woods instead of what went right for Campbell. Years later, Campbell grew outraged by Tiger Woods' questions. He won the US Open. He beat the best player on earth. Yet the story remained about Tiger's loss rather than Campbell's triumph. The hate Campbell felt was not for Woods, the person. It was for the machine that erased his achievement. It was for the narrative that made him invisible even while holding the trophy. Campbell spoke about the awe of holding off a prime Tiger Woods. He acknowledged the magnitude of what he accomplished. But the constant Tiger questions wore him down. Podcasts and interviews captured his frustration years after the fact. He wanted to talk about his victory, his journey, his golf. Instead, every conversation returned to Tiger. The Tiger-centric coverage suffocated his legacy. That resentment festered. It was not hatred of the man. It was hatred of being treated as a supporting character in his own greatest achievement. The first round at Pinehurst showed the dynamic clearly. Campbell shot 71, 1 over par. Woods shot 70, even par. Woods led by a single stroke. The second round flipped the script. Campbell shot 69, 1 under. Woods shot 71, 1 over. Campbell gained 2 strokes. The third round maintained the pressure. Campbell shot 71. Woods shot 72. Campbell kept chipping away. By the time they reached Sunday, the psychological weight had shifted. Woods felt Campbell behind him. Campbell felt momentum building. That pressure, that relentless pursuit, forced Woods into errors he rarely made. Campbell's steady play over 4 rounds demonstrated something crucial. He never panicked. He never chased. He simply refused to make mistakes while waiting for others to crack. Against Tiger Woods, that strategy should not have worked. Woods was too good. Woods was too experienced. Woods was too mentally tough. But Campbell's refusal to yield created cracks in the armor. The pressure mounted. Woods blinked first. Campbell once called Retief Goosen his closest mate on tour. They were friends. Real friends. The kind who share lunch before a final round. On Sunday, June 19th, 2005, Campbell and Goosen sat together and talked about the day ahead. Goosen led by 4 strokes entering that final round. He was the defending champion. Campbell trailed, fighting for second place. The lunch was normal, friendly. Campbell recalled that the lunch was all fine. They talked casually like friends do. No tension, no animosity, just 2 professionals sharing a meal. Then they walked to the first tee and everything changed. Campbell said it plainly. When you get on the first tee, it all changes. Friendship evaporates, mercy disappears. That switch from mate to assassin is what separates champions from everyone else. Most people cannot do it. Most people let personal feelings interfere with competition. Campbell flipped the switch without hesitation. The friend stayed in the clubhouse. The golfer walked onto the course. Goosen collapsed that day. He shot 81, 11 over under par. The crowd at Pinehurst turned into what observers called a messy mob of rage. They rooted against Goosen. They wanted Campbell. The atmosphere became hostile. Goosen, usually the most stoic of players, visibly rattled. By the 7th hole, Campbell realized he was leading. He did not slow down. He did not offer sympathy. He destroyed his closest mate on tour by 12 strokes in a single round. Campbell shot 69. Goosen shot 81. That is the definition of ruthless. The swing was massive. Goosen entered the day 4 strokes ahead. He finished 12 strokes behind. That 16-stroke reversal ranks among the most dramatic collapses in major championship history. And Campbell was not just a passive beneficiary. He actively applied pressure. Every birdie he made tightened the noose. Every pair he saved pushed Goosen closer to the edge. Campbell seized the moment while his closest friend crumbled. Months later, fate matched them again in the semifinals of the HSBC World Match Play Championship. Goosen had just demolished Mark Hensby 12-11 in the previous round. He looked unstoppable. He looked like he had exorcised the demons of Pinehurst. Campbell beat him 7-6. The second destruction confirmed a hierarchy. Campbell was the alpha. Goosen, the very good friend, was the stepping stone. The hate here was not personal. It was surgical. Campbell had to switch off friendship and switch on competition. That ability to compartmentalize, to turn a friend into a target, defined his championship mindset. The cruelty was necessary. The coldness was survival. Beating Goosen twice in massive moments proved something essential. The US Open was not about Goosen's collapse. It was about Campbell's dominance. The match play victory removed all doubt. Campbell owned Goosen in 2005. The friendship made it harder, not easier. Destroying someone you care about requires a level of mental toughness most people cannot comprehend. The final of the 2005 HSBC World Match Play Championship offered £1 million to the winner. That was approximately $1.8 million. It was the richest first-place check in golf at the time. Paul McGinley stood between Campbell and that money. Campbell had struggled for years. He missed cuts. He endured what he described as a breakdown where an alien took over his body. His game fell apart. This match represented validation. This match represented security. If you're enjoying this deep dive into Campbell's competitive fire, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below. Tell me which rivalry surprised you most. Was it the lunch with Goosen? The erasure by the Tiger narrative? Let me know what you think. The match went 36 holes. McGinley was tough. He was gritty. He was known for match play. He would later become a Ryder Cup captain. But under the pressure of the 7-figure prize, McGinley cracked. On 2 consecutive holes late in the match, specifically on the 35th hole, which was the 17th of the afternoon round, he drove wildly into the trees. Campbell closed him out 2-1. McGinley said afterward he was hurt like you cannot imagine. That level of pain tells you how much the match meant. Campbell, on the other hand, downplayed the money. He said the win was about recognition from peers. He said it was about validating his US Open victory. Easy words from a man who just banked £1 million. The hate Campbell felt for McGinley was not personal animosity. It was ruthless indifference. McGinley became the avatar for everyone who doubted Campbell. McGinley became the proxy for the whispers that the US Open was a fluke. Campbell did not just want to win. He wanted to silence the critics. He wanted to prove he belonged. McGinley happened to be standing in the way. The hurt McGinley felt was collateral damage. Campbell took the food off another man's table without hesitation. That is what champions do. The £1 million was secondary. The statement was primary. Campbell proved that Pinehurst was not luck. It was skill. It was will. It was destiny. Thomas Bjorn was a grinder. He and Campbell crossed paths constantly on the European tour. They were heavyweights in the same pond, constantly elbowing for space. The hate between them was the friction of familiarity. They were too similar. Both were trailblazers for their countries. Bjorn was the first Dane in the Ryder Cup. Campbell carried the flag for New Zealand. When equals collide, someone has to lose. Neither wanted it to be them. The definitive battle came at the 2003 Nissan Irish Open at Portmarnock. Campbell and Bjorn, along with Peter Hedblom, finished regulation tied at 11 under par. They finished at 277 total. Sudden death playoff, no second place. Winner takes all. Campbell ended a 13-month drought with one swing. On the first playoff hole, the 18th, Campbell hit a 9-iron from 146 yards. The shot was described as the shot of the tournament. Bjorn could not answer. Campbell snatched the trophy. Years later, at the 2006 Irish Open, Bjorn won while Campbell finished 12th. The rivalry swung back and forth. They were mirrors of each other. Looking across the tee box, each saw a reflection of his own ambition. Only one could win. The hate was the frustration of constant measurement. The hate was knowing that your talent might not be enough because someone else has the same talent. Bjorn matched Campbell shot for shot, tournament for tournament. That equality was unbearable. To accept equality is to deny your own greatness. Campbell refused. Vijay Singh shared something unique with Campbell. The Polynesian connection. Campbell is Maori, Singh is Fijian. They represented the peak of golf for the Oceania region. That shared heritage should have created camaraderie. Instead, it concentrated the competition. They were not just fighting for wins, they were fighting for regional supremacy. At the PGA Grand Slam of Golf, Campbell and Singh trailed the leaders. Campbell joked they were playing for the Wooden Spoon Award, but his goal was clear. career. Make sure I beat VJ. That was his priority. Not finishing higher in the field, not impressing the crowd. Beat VJ. Singh was the established veteran, the former world #1, the benchmark for international players. Campbell was the challenger, the younger brother. The hate was rebellion. Campbell's career was measured against the standard Singh set. Beating Singh was not about score. It was about proving the Polynesian connection had a new leader. Singh represented everything Campbell wanted to surpass. Every time Campbell stepped onto a course with Singh, he was not just playing golf. He was declaring independence. He was claiming territory. The friendly, competitive banter masked a primal desire for dominance. To be the best player in the world is one thing. To be the best player from your own corner of the world is survival. Campbell refused to live in Singh's shadow. The hate fueled his escape. The word hate is strong. People hear it and think of personal grievances. They think of enemies. But Campbell's hate was not petty. It was psychological architecture. He hated Woods because Woods erased him from his own story. He hated Goosen during rounds because affection makes you weak. He hated McGinley because McGinley stood between him and validation. He hated Bjorn because Bjorn was his equal, and equality was unacceptable. He hated Singh because Singh was the benchmark he had to destroy. This hate was temporary. It was tactical. Campbell hugged Steve Williams on the 18th green at Pinehurst. He had lunch with Goosen before destroying him. He bantered with Singh about wooden spoons. The hate switched on when competition demanded it, then it switched off. That ability to control the fire, to summon it and dismiss it, separated Campbell from everyone else. Most players cannot flip that switch. Most players let friendship soften their edge. Campbell did not. The hate was a tool. It was fuel. It was necessary. Understanding this distinction is crucial. Campbell was not a hateful person. He was not mean-spirited. He was not cruel outside of competition. But inside the ropes, he became something different. He became a predator. He identified his prey and hunted without mercy. That transformation is what allowed a qualifier to beat the greatest player alive. That transformation is what allowed a friend to destroy his closest mate. That transformation is what separates major champions from everyone else. In 2005, Michael Campbell touched greatness. He won the US Open. He won the richest prize in golf at the HSBC World Match Play. He beat Tiger Woods at his peak. He demolished his closest friend. He silenced his doubters. Those 5 men stood in his way, and he destroyed every one of them. Not because he was cruel, not because he lacked respect, but because winning required absolute refusal to yield. The hate was the refusal. The hate was the commitment. The hate was the price of immortality. Campbell's 2005 season stands as proof that competitive fire can elevate a player beyond his perceived limits. He was not supposed to beat Tiger Woods. He was not supposed to overcome a 4-stroke deficit against the defending champion. He was not supposed to win £1 million. But he did all of it because he refused to accept the limitations others placed on him. The 5 men he hated were not his enemies. They were his obstacles. And champions do not avoid obstacles. They destroy them. Campbell's story is not a tragedy of interpersonal conflict. It is an epic of competitive conquest. He did not hate the men. He hated the idea of losing to them. He hated the thought of being second. He hated the possibility that his dream could die because someone else wanted it just as badly. In the summer of 2005, Campbell yielded to no one. The fires he lit to fuel that run burned brighter than anyone expected, and when the smoke cleared, he stood alone at the top. That is the truth about competitive hate. It is not personal, it is survival. Michael Campbell at 56 can look back at those 5 names and smile, because the hate worked. It carried him to places most golfers never reach, and for one perfect summer he was untouchable. The victories over these 5 men defined his career. Each one represented a different challenge. Woods was the mountain. Goosen was the betrayal of friendship. McGinley was the validation. Bjorn was the equal. Singh was the benchmark. Campbell conquered all 5. If this story of ruthless competition inspired you, subscribe to the channel and comment below with your thoughts. Let me know which rivalry hit hardest. And remember, greatness is not about being liked. It is about refusing to lose. Campbell understood that better than most. That is why his name is etched in golf history. That is why we still talk about him 2 decades later. The hate was temporary. The legacy is forever.